Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the special budget meeting of the Tablelands Regional Council this Thursday, the 29th of June. Could I remind everyone to turn their devices either onto silent or off, please? Do we have any apologies? No apologies, thank you. I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land that we meet on today and pay respects to elders past, present and emerging. Item 5. Do we have any declarations of conflicts of interest by councillors or senior council officers? Thank you. We'll go straight to item 6.1, councillors. Could I have a mover that the council receives the Tablelands Regional Council 2023-2024 budget report? Councillor Wilts is moving. Councillor Clifton is seconding. Those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll present my budget speech and then we'll go around the table. The Tablelands Regional Council 2023-2024 budget is primarily shaped by two factors. First, it's sensitive to cost of living pressures, where the CPI from March to the previous March has been 7%, and relevant industry cost indexes are having a real impact on community and council itself. Second, with the most recent overlay of new land valuations by the Valuer General this year impacting every rating category, there are challenges. To lessen the impact of high valuation increases, Council will calculate the rateable value by averaging property valuations over 3 years, 21-22, 22-23 and 23-24. Averaging is not the sharpest tool, but it is one of the few available to councils when dealing with land valuation spikes of this scale. Again, Council is fully attuned to cost of living pressures and has kept its revenue levels on par with what it needs to deliver essential services to community. It's not an easy time. However, Council's intent with the budget is to be equally sensitive to both cost pressures and growth pressures. And like last year, the Tablelands continues to experience extraordinary economic growth that continues to lead the entire FNQ region. Against these factors, today's $119.2 million balanced budget includes $46.3 million capital investment and $72.9 million in operations. On the capital side, there is $15.5 million on roads, bridges, footpaths and drains, and this is slightly up on last year's. For the U10 road, there is $4 million for upgrading, which will finalise TRC's obligation to our component of the road. There's $2.6 million for road pavement rehabilitation. There's $2.4 million for bitumen resealing, $3.7 million for gravel resheeting, $1.5 million for bridge and major culverts. For the Ravenshoe Water Quality Improvement Program, there is $14.7 million for the water treatment plant and pipelines to Millstream. There is $1.9 million for wastewater and $20.5 million for water in total. There's $3 million for parks and gardens, $2.4 million for the progression of the Prize Creek development and the all-inclusive living amenity it will activate for Tablelands. This most significant capital budget is designed to enhance the livability of the region, capitalising on our growth and in turn bringing more opportunity. It seeks to consolidate this critical moment for our region. There is also $500,000 for the Herberton Battery site and $25,000 for the rail trail resheeting. Of the operational budget $72.9 million, there is $21.9 million on roads and bridges, $9.4 million on water, $6.4 million on waste, $3.1 million on parks and gardens, $11.6 million on corporate and community buildings, and $5.9 million on wastewater. For borrowings, TRC has borrowings to the value of $4.86 million, primarily against our Malanda and Ravensay sewerage plants. Council is expecting to undertake further borrowings in the coming years as it undertakes upgrades to the Ravensay water treatment plant, the Atherton water treatment plant, and the Atherton sewerage treatment facilities. Rates and charges. Rates across rating categories are a mixed bag because land valuations had dramatic variations within and across categories. However, our averaging strategy across 3 years will help to blunt increases. Averaging land valuations over 3 years allows Council to spread the burden of the new valuation that comes into effect tomorrow, the 30th of June. The quantum of rates, levies and charges revenue will increase from the existing rate base by 4.5%. We have also anticipated growth in the region to continue and have included a 1.25% increase in the revenue budget for this growth. And as already flagged, the revenue percentage is not consistent across either rating categories or charges. Rather, it's highly variable due to wide-ranging land valuations and, in other cases, to more appropriately capture whole-of-life costs of particular infrastructure. And for categories most affected by land valuations, like Category F primary production and Category G large grazing properties, their rates will increase on average by 5.55% or $205 per annum and 3.5% or $454 per annum respectively. Of course, with such variations in valuations, some properties will actually pay less and some will pay more. For residential property categories, Council has done all it reasonably can to contain rate increases. So across categories A, B and M, there will be an average general rate rise of approximately $78 per annum or 3.85%. This is a great outcome for more than 84% of our ratepayers. With regards charges, Council must invest in its reserves to ensure long-term solutions to water quality and reliability, with a 5.4% increase for water access and a 23-cent per kilolitre increase for consumption. There is also a 5.3% increase in waste charges and a 5.4% for sewerage. These charges are essential to support operating activities and prepare for facility upgrades which are already in sight. Now, in our efforts to better reconcile rising costs against revenue, Council has decided that it will reduce the discount rate from 5% to 2.5%. We understand this will have an impact on those ratepayers who do pay promptly. However, it's a decision that allowed us to keep rates lower. Before I wrap up, I'd like to take this opportunity to give credit where credit is due. This is a council and organisation that has and is getting things done. Here are just a few current examples that we should keep at the forefront of our minds when we're having a tough day at the office. We've seen 2 very significant bridges completed near Malanda. We're biting the bullet and getting Ravensay's water quality up to an acceptable standard. We're on a clear trajectory to reinvent Priors Creek. We're committed to developing the Herberton Battery site. We're fully on board with the Tableland University Centre. We have a service level review underway that's seeking continuous improvement. We conducted a rating review to assess our rating equity settings, and we're fully engaged with our state and federal colleagues in pursuit of taxpayer dollars to invest in our region. Not one of these is achieved by any one person. It's only as a collective that we make tangible gains for our community. And at another level, let's not forget the organisation manages 1,700 kilometres of roads, performs 7,000 hectares of mowing, performs 3,400 barbecue cleans, responds to 18,000 customer requests, collects 7,000 tonnes of waste, and delivers 2,700,000 kilolitres of water. Our development and building approvals are incredibly strong. Our population has never grown more quickly. Major investments like the Atherton Hospital and Mulungu's Midden Clinic are signs of confidence and future growth in the Tablelands. So we need to fully appreciate that TRC is a key enabler that's doing more than it's ever done, and as a collective, we're providing the absolute best service we can from the resources we have for our community. I would like to take this opportunity to thank councillors for their contribution to this budget. With very significant land valuations arriving so soon after the last valuation event and a stubborn CPI, the budget has been a major challenge for us. Finally, I'd also like to acknowledge the senior management team, and in particular the Manager of Finance and her team, for the effort they made in constructing the budget over many, many months. I'd also like to acknowledge our CEO for bringing his leadership experience and oversight to the critical plan that the budget represents for Council. Councillors, I submit to you the 2023-2024 budget. Thank you. So we might go around to each councillor now, if that's okay. We start with you, Councillor Hodge.
Yeah, sure. Thanks very much for the opportunity to speak. This is, well, our final budget and of this term, and my final budget as a councillor. And I wish everyone who is standing next time all the best. And I think this budget will it gives the new council a real great platform to move on. Probably I'll just make a few points. The Mayor has said a lot about what the increases and all that is, but probably in our first budget, if I had my time again, I would probably not have went with a zero general rate increase. It should have been probably around a 2, maybe 2.5. But that's at that time we thought that was a good decision. But going back there, it probably wasn't. But from our first budget, I think the operating budget was at 60 million. Now it's at 72.9 million. The capital budget then was 29.6 million, and this year it's 46.3 million. I'm happy that we were able to agree to a balanced budget and a slight surplus going forward over the next two years. Probably one of the great things I think of this organisation is in our first budget. When I took advice from some particular people, they did say to me, look, you've got to have to look at your cash. It doesn't look really good. And I just went back to our first forecast in our first budget, and the 25-26 budget had our cash at 16.7 million. And the 26-27 million last year was 15,326,000, which was very low, starting off at around 48 million. But today, as you'll see in this budget, our cash statement and our cash flows, where it was predicted to be a 16 million there, it is predicted to be a 57 million. So, really good. So yes, I congratulate the CEO the managers for what they've done. We are in a good position. So.
Thanks, Councillor Hodge. Councillor Wills.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, it's going to get a bit harder as it goes along the time. We all have pretty much the same sentiments on a lot of these issues. But I'd like to thank the CEO for his leadership and the ELT, and in particular the finance team. We've certainly haven't made it easier for Erica by wanting to change things fairly late in the time that we had to do it. I'd also like to thank fellow councillors. There's been some good, robust debate, and I think that generally we've come at a fair sort of compromise, and this is going to me, this is going to be the most important document that we adopt in the term that I have. I believe that it's a very responsible budget. It's considerate and proper regarding with showing good regard to our ratepayers, a lot of whom have gone through very challenging times, especially seeing we've had some categories doubling twice in a 3-year period. I'd also like to offer thanks for the production of this magnificent document. We have numerous customers that come in and have made statements on the value of it and the ease of understanding of where their rate money goes. And we have some of the people that I've gotten to know, not just in my division, but around the Shire, that are looking forward to seeing the new budget overview. And just in closing, I have got no doubt at this point in time that our constituents will receive the increases that we have determined, and they will be relatively happy with the way that we're moving forward. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Wills. Councillor Clifton.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. As beginning with Councillor Bernier said, it will be Councillor Milson said that there are many common threads. It's our fourth and our last budget for this particular council, and I'm happy to support all aspects of the budget. It starts off being balanced, and the 3-year projection is towards a surplus. So that looks great, but underneath that, there's a very important underpinning, and that is the service review. When I was first elected, it was to pursue changes within one of the pledges that I had to make to my constituents was to look at the way the TRC operates. And it's been a difficult process. And I want to compliment the CEO, Mr. Gary Reinhardt, for his instigation of the service review and the implementation program that is now available through the council minutes. I think that will, by the time, and the CEO has set up the implementation period so that when we come to February 24 and we're all just about to disappear or have another go, a lot of the changes that are necessary changes will be considered and made or not made. They'll be considered. An important aspect of our operations, I think, should have been and is the agricultural sector of our community, as well as others, and we have averaged the valuations, which I think is a significant step towards recognising the difficulties they've had. We've responded to them. We've averaged them over a 3-year period, which ought to bring some level of predictability for them. And to further that along, we'll also be taking motions forward to the LGAQ for negotiation with the Queensland Government about future valuations. A really critical step that this council has listened to the agricultural community, and we're getting on with it. So it's our last budget. It's not perfect, but it sets up future councillors up for after the elections in March 2024 for the next 3 years. They'll have a really good platform. I think they'll have a really good platform to step into. It's underpinned by the service review, which will fine-tune is the word, it's the appropriate one, our TRC operations. And thirdly, the 10-year program, which is part of this budget, is forward-looking and recognises the growth potential of the Tablelands. I'm very happy to commend it as practical, as reflecting that it listened to the residents, and I think it leaves a positive legacy for the future. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Councillor Clifton. Councillor Hayden.
Okay, as this is the end of the line for some of us, it will be the last budget some of us will deliver. As in all years, this budget is one that has been a challenge. Council endeavoured to deliver the best outcomes for the future of our region. Council has invested in major infrastructure projects that will benefit our residents. The long-awaited water improvements for Ravenside and Millstream to cease the boil water notices pleases me non-stop. It is finally a reality that I may not get the cut the ribbon for, but that has been worked on for years. Road upgrades will still occur, which we will continue in this year's budget to meet current and future needs, including the final 4 kilometres ceiling of Utan Road. The Herberton Battery Park got reinstated back onto the Council's capital budget, with fingers crossed commencing in July 2023. Though in the 19 years I've worked on council budgets, this is one budget I'm struggling to support. Just because we can doesn't mean we have to. The Ravenside Netball Court shelter that was to be delivered in the 2022-23 capital budget never got started, losing its $600,000 with implemented Prize Creek development and probably sending the money there. In the 2023-2024 budget, it is the greatest disappointment to me with increases that council have asked residents to pay for. This will recreate more hardship on the locals who are already struggling through cost of living, inflation and recent interest rises. Many of our residents are in a difficult situation and council appear not to engage with locals who are less fortunate. I do not feel as a councillor I've had much input into the 2023-24 capital budget, but we have landed in a place we are today with some positive outcomes. Lastly, I would like to acknowledge the staff who put in the countless hours to deliver this challenging budget and thank fellow councillors.
Thanks, Councillor Hayden. Councillor Billings.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. This is the 5th year in which I've been involved in the budget process, and to state that it has been the most difficult to compile, I think would be an understatement. High inflation, rising interest rates, and generally the cost of living is trending upwards and continues to place pressure on financial resources that are required to deliver core council services. Our community continue to experience those same external factors as council, and the challenge is its ability to deliver those services, and we see an ongoing dilution of the value of our dollar as council attempts to undertake core projects and its service responsibilities. This council continues to roll out some amazing projects, some of which relate to ongoing infrastructure upgrades, and council will dedicate more funds into general services such as roads, bridges and culverts. In fact, there will be an increase in spend by 11% year on year, or the equivalent of approximately 3.5 million allocated to support our longer term commitment for asset protection and renewal. This, coupled with a further 14 million for the completion of the Ravenside water upgrades, supports council's endeavour for infrastructure that will meet the Tablelands community needs well into the future. Each year, council runs the ruler against the budget to ascertain the revenue required to deliver our existing levels of services. Council will roll out its services review, which may change some of those services and how they are provided in the future. It is prudent that we continue to assess our operations to ensure that they meet a modern contemporary council. I see this as critical in achieving our long-term vision and strategy that will inform council's decisions for a sustainable future whilst balancing community needs and expectations. Whilst CPI continues to be around 7%, we now know it's 5.6 currently, this budget remains well under that figure at 4.5 general rate rise overall and is projected to provide a balanced budget. Council should, in my view, continue to prioritise expenditure on renewals and upgrades, which will be informed and underpinned by strategies such as the transport strategy and asset management plans. We are acutely aware that we are faced with substantial and unavoidable upgrades to our water and waste infrastructure in the coming years. I believe that under the present economic conditions, this budget is responsible and provides a level of equity in revenue collection from our community while continuing to deliver the services that contribute to the overall livability of our beautiful region. Lastly, thank you to all the staff involved in the preparation of the budget and the modelling, and my fellow councillors for today's result. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Billney. Councillor Cardew.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Look, yeah, it's not a lot left for me to say, but I do acknowledge that everything what the Mayor said is correct. The cost of living's been going through the roof, we all know that. Land valuations have gone through the roof, we all know that. Had a big impact over the last couple of years in the real sector, and now this year right across the board. So dealing with that has been challenging. Like it's been said, we've had lots of anxious moments in our workshops trying to get to this point with our budget. It hasn't been easy, but we're delivering a balanced budget, which I think is good. It's a good outcome. And in the next couple of years, with a very minor surplus. But some of the things, like the Ravensdale water supply, one of the commitments that I had in my mind when I first was elected to council was to try and get the people in the Ravensdale area decent drinking water, and we're well on our way to achieve that. With the rural sector, the land valuations haven't done the rural sector any favours whatsoever. They've been hit hard with rates and the like over the years, and this time around we've tried to soften the blow using the tools that are available to us. So I'm hoping that I mean, no one's ever going to be happy, but I'm hoping that we've softened that burden somewhat this time around. There's still lots of challenges ahead of us, and going forward, we now have the service review completed, and now in the delivery stage of that service review, and hopefully in the coming 12 months, especially before the end of our term, we can make a big difference with our service levels, improve them, and be in a good position for the new council coming in. Yeah, thank you, Mayor.
Thanks, Councillor Cardew. Thank you, councillors. I'll bring everyone's attention now to our budget document that's in front of us. We'll go through each item. Item 1, averaging land values. Can I have a mover and seconder of the officer's recommendation for averaging land values? Councillor Hodge moving and Councillor Clifton seconding. Councillor Hodge, you used to talk to that?
No, not really. It's, you've explained it in the so I have to just move on.
Anyone wish to talk to this? Those in favour, councillors? Carried, thank you. Item 2, rating categories. Can I have a mover and seconder of the officer's recommendation? Councillor Cardew is moving. Councillor Wilkes is seconding. Councillor Cardew, you wish to talk to that? Those in favour of the officer's recommendation? Carried, thank you. Item 3, differential general rates. Can I have a mover and seconder of the officer's recommendation? Councillor Hodge is moving and Councillor Wilkes. Councillor Hodge?
No, we're fine, thanks, Mr Mayor. We've had differential rates for years.
Those in favour of the officer's recommendation? Carried, thank you. Item 4, special charges. Can I have a mover and seconder of the officer's recommendation? Councillor Cardew, moving, and a seconder. Councillor Clifton.
That specifically relates to the overall plan for the Malanda sewage scheme. It's important that we have the plan before we spend money on it.
Everyone good with that? Thank you. Those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Can we go through each of these?
Everybody concerned on screen 4.2.
4.2, okay. 4.2, the annual implementation plan, Malanda Sewerage Scheme. Do we have a mover and seconder? Councillor Clifton and Councillor Wilts. Those in favour? Carried, thank you.
Special charge.
Yeah.
4.3.
4.3, special charge for Malanda Sewerage Scheme. A mover and seconder, please, of the officer's recommendation. Councillor Clifton. Councillor Bilney. Those in favour? Carried, thank you. Item 5, Emergency Management Fire and Rescue Levy. Can we have a mover and seconder of the officer's recommendation? Councillor Wilts and Councillor Bilney. Those in favour? Carried, thank you. Item 6, Rural Fire Brigade Levy. Can we have a mover of the officer's recommendation? Councillor Clifton moving. Councillor Wilts. Those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Item 7, sewerage utility charges. Can we have a mover of the officer's recommendation? Councillor Hodge and Councillor Cardew. Those in favour? Carried, thank you. Item 8, water utility charges. Can I have a mover of the officer's recommendation? Councillor Hodge, Councillor Clifton. Those in favour? Carried, thank you. Item 9, waste management utility charges. Can I have a mover of the officer's recommendation? Councillor Wilts and Councillor Clifton. Those in favour? Carried, thank you. Item 10, levy and payment. Can I have a mover and seconder of the officer's recommendation? Councillor Hodge and Councillor Bilney. Those in favour? Carried, thank you. Item 11, discount. Can I have a mover and seconder of the officer's recommendation? Councillor Clifton moving. Councillor Wilts. Those in favour? Carried. Item 12, interest. Can I have a mover and seconder of the officer's recommendation? Councillor Wilts moving. Councillor Cardew seconding. Those in favour? Carried, thank you. Item 13, concessions. Can I have a mover and seconder of the officer's recommendation? Councillor Cardew and Councillor Clifton. Those in favour? Carried, thank you. Item 14, water usage concession policy. Can I have a mover and seconder of the officer's recommendation? Councillor Cardew and Councillor Clifton. Those in favour? Carried. Item 15, water usage concession policy for not-for-profit recreation and sporting clubs. Can we have a mover and seconder, please? Councillor Hodge is moving. Councillor Wilts is seconding. Those in favour? Carried, thank you. Item 16, rates and charges concession policy. Can we have a mover and seconder of the officer's recommendation? Councillor Cardew and Councillor Wills. Those in favour? Carried. Item 17, adoption of revenue statement. Can I have a mover and seconder of the officer's recommendation? Councillor Clifton. A seconder. Councillor Hodge. Those in favour? Carried. 18, adoption of annual operational plan. Can we have a mover of the officer's recommendation? Councillor Wilts. Did you put your hand? Yeah, and Councillor Cardew. Those in favour? Carried, thank you. Item 19, adoption of financial statements. Can we have Councillor Clifton moving and Councillor Hodge seconding? Those in favour? Carried, thank you. Item 20, investment policy. Can we have a mover of the officer's recommendation? Councillor Wilts and Councillor Hodge. Those in favour? Carried, thank you. Item 21, debt policy. Can we have a mover of the officer's recommendation and seconder? Councillor Cardew is moving. Councillor Wilts. Those in favour? Item 22, revenue policy. A mover of the officer's recommendation and a seconder. Councillor Clifton. Councillor Hodge seconding. Those in favour? Carried. Item 23, procurement policy. We have a mover of the officer's recommendation. Moved Councillor Hodge and seconded Councillor Cardew. Those in favour? Carried. 24, statement of estimated financial position. Can we have a mover of the officer's recommendation? Councillor Clifton's moving and a seconder. Councillor Hodge. Those in favour? Carried. Item 25, business activities. Can we have a mover of the officer's recommendation? Councillor Hodge. Councillor Clifton. Those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Item 26, adoption of the budget. Can we have a mover? Councillor Hodge is moving and Councillor Clifton is seconding. Those in favour? Carried. Thank you.
Yeah.
I thought it was, yeah.
Yeah,
Everyone.
my observation. That's it.
Sorry, I can see all hands.
Yep. Councillors, I believe that brings us
Mr Mayor, just thank you councillors, and just before we close the meeting, also thank the team that has worked so hard to put the budget together. Thanks councillors for their input. It will be a challenging budget to deliver, and we look forward to working closely with you in the remainder of this term to do that and to put things in place to ensure that that can happen going forward. Perhaps one area that wasn't mentioned, Mr Mayor, was mentioned in passing, but we also have had to develop the budget, in fact the last two budgets, against a background of declining general purpose grants, which is a challenge. We continue to face challenges with the federal government's approach to early payments and so forth, so they remain part of our advocacy efforts and potentially motions before LGAQ conference again this year. But thanks very much to the team, and I think probably the biggest impact has been the unprecedented change in the cost of delivering our essential infrastructure. It has cost of delivering infrastructure, as we've seen with the Ravensholme water treatment plant and other contracts that we've sought to enter into, has been far greater than the headline inflation figures, which impacts that appreciation and makes balancing an operating budget very, very challenging. So thank you for where we are, and we will continue to work hard to deliver against this budget.
Very good, thank you. Councillor Clifton.
Yeah, just as if I may ask the CEO, procedurally, is it appropriate to, I'm thinking of a business without notice motion at this, no, it's not.
you can't.
Well, I'll tell you what it was about, but I was just thinking of Councillor Hayden and her desire to, if she decides not to stand next time, the desire to open the Ravensholme water supply. And I thought, I wonder if we might accommodate that in some way, because it can't be by a person, but in recognition of her efforts over many years for getting that done.
And my experience with such matters is once the nominations have closed, then decisions like that can rightly be discussed by the collective. Councillor Clifton.
Thank you, Mr Mayor.
So thank you councillors. I think that's all our business for today, but well done to everyone for pulling that together. Thank you very much, and the meeting's closed.
Shame we didn't have our action music.
Where's the
What's the music?